this is comfortable.
You just like go down and are you
Boom.
you good? Yes.
Yes. Now, welcome to the gym special edition. Hey, I'm here with Susie. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Susie Silver. It's nice
Susie
to have
Silver.
you here.
She's an artist, a great artist, and you're here in a bit. All right, but we're not in the gym until you officially put on the hat.
Heck
Have
yes.
to put on the hat.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
I'm good.
Okay.
Now we're ready.
Boom. All right.
Tell it like it is. Bow my head every night with the ones in my house. If it all fails, we gon' have to figure it out. For ourselves, you know what I'm talking about. I know I'm not the only one holding it down. I hope not, oh nah. I refuse to believe it. Be proud of what you got and be cautious when conceited and up the wrong target if you choose to oppose.
Good. Yes.
Yes. Now, welcome to the gym special edition. Hey, I'm here with Susie. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Susie Silver. It's nice
Susie
to have
Silver.
you here.
She's an artist, a great artist, and you're here in a bit. All right, but we're not in the gym until you officially put on the hat.
Heck
Have
yes.
to put on the hat.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
I'm good. Now we're ready.
Boom. All right, and Susie, like I said, she's an artist, and she's a wonderful artist. I had the opportunity to meet her in Cary through True Pet Group. And I got a chance to see her art, and I want to know more about her. So we're here to find out some more information about her, right?
All right.
All right. So my first question for you is, when did you start doing art?
So I just talked about this last week with somebody. I started doing art when I was a child, which is a quintessential answer to that question, but I really did ever since I was a young child, holding crayons, making things. And I found, the reason I was talking about it is I found an old piece of paper, artwork that I made, and it said, when I grow up, I want to be an artist. And I was 5 when I made that.
Wow.
So always, I've just
5
been
years
creative.
old.
Just been creative. So, you know, the intuition to look at the pictures in books and then read it instead of the other way around. But always started creating.
So you
art
tell
when
me
I was
you would rather look at the pictures than read the words?
Yes, I still do
Like
that.
all kids, right? And all people, we all do the same thing, right?
So-
It's a natural instinct, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah. So finding that way more fascinating and trying to figure out the story from that than the words. So it's almost something that I couldn't function without. Growing up then, you know, being an adolescent and teenager, it was something that helped me function, you know, and get an outlet of balance for my academics and the creative side. So, and I actually was an athlete too. So,
So you want to talk about that,
Well,
about
so-
the balance, because you definitely need the outlet. She had the art, and then you say you was an athlete too. We are in the gym, so let's talk about
Yes,
it.
and the discipline with that. I played softball for 9 years, and I was second baseman, filling catcher.
That's cool.
And I'm tiny, and I was tinier then, like, you know, just growing up, I would steal a lot of bases. So,
She was fast, right?
I was fast.
Okay.
I don't know about now.
Okay.
However, you know, but just that balance
I can help
between,
you.
yes,
Get faster.
yes.
I can help.
Okay, June. When
Okay.
I'm not at school, yes.
Okay, we can have another special edition.
Yes.
Susie, quick feet, yes.
Yes. But I think with being an athlete and then also being a student and being creative, you have to time manage and you have discipline in so many different ways of prioritizing tasks and where you're using your time mentally, physically, emotionally. And so that was always a balance for me.
Cool.
Artist and actor.
Yeah, because I'm definitely big on the student athletes and teaching them how to find balance, because that's a tough thing, you know, going to college and then finding the balance between your social life and work and just your playtime and what inspires you. So my next question is, and I think it's very interesting, you know, what inspires you to do art?
So there's a lot that inspires me, but it's this natural part of me that I feel isn't balanced if I'm not creating. So therein lies the inspiration for, okay, I'm going to use my creative self.
Right.
And then specifically with my current work, is we just talked about, it's a lot about nature and movements of liquids and rock formations and this journey through an abstracted form of nature. So that's the direct inspiration. If somebody would go look at my work, then they would get it. But overall, what inspires me to create is understanding how I am without creating. So it was actually very dormant for a while.
Wow.
And just in the last few years have I picked up my own practice again. And with no negativity towards my teaching career or anything like that, but I gave every part of my creative self to my students in my classroom. And the art that I would, well, I know, you've been there.
Right. Yeah.
So the art that I was creating was for them. It was for a style that wasn't really me as well. So if I tried to do something for myself, it just wasn't there. So about 3 years ago, I took this journey back to what does inspire me. Why am I creating things that I'm not interested in or connected to? And I paused, and then it's been like pedal on the gas ever since, because it's authentic.
It's authentic.
Which we just talked about. It's authentic. Yes.
Authentic. So you actually measure.
And this paper, do you want me to talk through this?
You can.
So the paper is something called Yupo paper, YUPO. It's actually you felt it before. It's like a plastic paper, actually. Okay. It's really cool. So it kind of makes it, you gotta be really careful when you're cutting it because it kind of slides everywhere.
I just remember like graphic arts class doing stuff like this.
It's like very specific.
Yeah.
Then what I'll do for this dissected, normally what I do is then I'll just do that. And then what I was showing you with like the gold or the metallic, this one is so terrible. I have another one. So I like metal, so hence my last name. But and so that would be then glued onto the wood panel.
Got you. Where's that other piece that you always over here? I want to see so they can see like the finished product.
Yeah, this one. This one has more rings and is a little bit it's more subtle, I guess I should say.
That's cool.
Yeah. So and this is the sorry. Okay. Okay. So that's what really happens with those. This I can't cut up yet into the strips because I have to do something else to it before. So all of this takes like multiple steps, you know, where sometimes I can paint a little faster, but all these other things to cut, to glue, to finish, I sand all the sides. It takes hours and days. I can't just usually spit something out overnight. That's really difficult. So I'll get some paper and I'll do one of those for you.
Okay.
Actually, I felt like I was giving them all of the creativity, actually. So I had to take some back for myself and set some boundaries on, I will give them 95% of the creative self or boundaries. And so understanding that was really hard. And most educators, and I know you'll understand, there's guilt that comes with that. And I finally just said, no, I'm gonna do this. And I started playing with some new materials. And it was really exciting to me.
Gotcha.
And so I just kept playing, and then a couple people saw it and said, this is really interesting, and that gave a little confidence. And the intention wasn't to really even sell anything at the point, to do commission work, none of that. It was just for me, again, which is why it probably is gaining some popularity, because it is authentic, and it was for myself, and now it is for myself and other people. But it was just taking that time back for myself. And so I decided to then also think about my childhood. What artists do I remember? What references am I going to go back to? And I quickly remembered all of that.
Okay, so can you share some of those artists?
Sure. So Georgia O'Keeffe is one of my favorites, which she's a big name in the art world. But one, because at the time she was working, she was, you know, super powerful female. So, you know, that's exciting to me. And then she pushed the boundaries of what abstraction was. And that's inherently what I do, is I take imagery, but I extract things out of it. And so that was always really inspiring to me. And I actually remember learning about her in second grade. And so I went back to that. So I have a good memory. Jackson Pollock was one just because of the spontaneity of the work and kind of the intensity in which he worked. Joseph Albers is one which he was really obsessed with color theory and how colors worked with each other, and some very specific straight edges, which you saw some of the work where it's very organic and soft, but then there's very harsh edges to some of them. So those are a few of the artists.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's see some more questions I have for you. And you just mentioned your favorite artists. Do you have like any role models or mentors right now outside of the people that you mentioned?
Oh my gosh.
That some people that you talk to that inspire you, that you have a direct connection.
Yeah.
with?
Direct connection. Well, True. Which
True,
he's
yes.
not having a say
Yes,
but
yes. No, he is.
True and
he
Tony.
inspires me too. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Chief.
And Chief, yes, we've had some really good conversations, and there's a person that I've recently connected with. Her name's M Sexton of the Flourish Market in Raleigh. She's quite an inspiration for just going for your dreams, believing in your story, and she is also somebody who empowers women. And so I was lucky enough to be on a retreat with her recently that she runs, and her and I are planning some cool things this summer. So she really inspires me. My spouse, my wife, really is number one. Before I was thinking community before, but somebody that I can 100% trust,
right,
and always have, and know that I can bounce ideas off, and just the inspiration of us, and our story, and it's just amazing what I feel like she does every day, and just being an amazing partner and mother and all of that. So, those are the top, and the other teachers at school. My goodness, educators.
Yeah.
I think we're special people.
Right.
I'm okay saying that now.
You have to be to deal with this generation, and I think with the technology and with the parenting, a lot of people don't understand how different parenting is nowadays with technology, with the daycare and stuff like that, and the dynamics of the behaviors of the kids now.
Right.
So it is a challenge to be an educator. But I love it. I enjoy it. It's a challenge. That's
Yes.
probably why I like it.
Yes.
It's a fun challenge.
Yes.
All right. So, another question I have for you, because I do follow you on Instagram. You should go follow her.
Thank you.
And give her a little blurb.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
How do you promote your artwork?
Right now, it's actually all through social media and my website. I will be starting my newsletter actually in the next couple weeks. But I just jumped on social media, which was a thing I said I would never do a couple years ago, and it's been really rewarding though, because I get to connect with people in a way that I didn't expect.
Right.
And I also, with promoting the work, we
connected in real life, but then again, we connect in
yes.
social media too. Because
And
I thought her stuff was cool. And she,
and I like what you're doing.
Cool.
Social media, and just I jumped on, and it's great. It's wonderful for connections. My website, I update, and yes, soon maybe I'll get on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter yet.
Twitter is a challenge. I'm not gonna lie, I'm on Twitter too, but I like Instagram because I guess the photos.
Yes.
And Facebook. Twitter, I guess you can post photos, but the limited the verbiage, the text.
Yes.
Kind of
Although that may be good for me because
right,
I talk so
right,
much.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So another thing. Okay. Say that's how you promote your art on Instagram. Okay. Another question. How often do you work on art?
So it usually comes in spurts based on the time that I have.
Gotcha.
I would prefer to work a little bit more consistently, which I'm actually working on for the summer, designating an actual schedule, so to speak. But it comes in spurts of, I've got this time, I'm going to work, or I generally work well under a deadline. I've got a show or something coming up.
So you put pressure on yourself? Does that help?
Yeah, sometimes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes you can't force it. So even if I schedule time for myself, sometimes I'll go in and I just can't get to the place I want to be, so I stop working. So right now I'm in a spurt, as I call it. So I'll work intensely for about a week and a half. I'm finishing some commissions, getting ready for some festivals and events, and then I'll probably take a breather and work on some other business side stuff for a while.
Okay, so business side stuff.
I'm sorry. I wish it was more consistent of an answer that I could give, but I will say, you know, when it is time, it's time, and I've got to be disciplined to know what has to be done and by when, if there is a deadline.
Yeah, but you don't really force it all the time.
I will not force it all the time.
And that's a good thing. All right, you said the business side of things. Let's talk about these workshops that you have and what you do in your workshops.
So I have been teaching adult learners at night, you know, for years through Wake Tech Continuing Ed. A long time ago, I was teaching drawing techniques. A couple years ago, I partnered up with a place called Skill Pop, and they literally pop around to different places in the area, and not just art classes, but I was teaching with them. And just in 2019, I invested in myself, and so I'm working for myself, and then one other new partnership as well. Yes, but what I'm doing is I'm bringing. Generally, it's a 2-hour workshop, mostly watercolor or ink that I'm using, and it's interesting. I posted last night about it. It's to bring art to the community, to make it accessible, to make sure that people feel safe, welcomed, and that they can be creative, that we're all worthy of being creative. And sometimes we need that balance, we just don't know how. So I hope that my workshops do provide that. So you'll walk away with something interesting. Usually it's an abstract or modern piece of work where it's based on technique. It's not based on making something look super real or using the right colors, whatever that may mean.
I like that.
And you know, really, yes,
really like
yes.
that.
So it's Clarky. And so, you know, that I want people to feel like this is a form of self-care for them as well. That some people will go to the spa, some people will work out, some people will, you know, go hiking or whatever it may be. Read. This is
all of the above.
Yes. This is a new.
I don't really do the spa, but I like getting a massage.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
we all should do it more often.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I really wanted, it's not just about the art to me, it's actually about the holistic approach to it and being kind to ourselves in creation.
I love that.
So,
I know that's why we connected, because that's my goal with this, is to help people, you know, find themselves and be creative, but be comfortable within themselves to create.
Yes.
And she's doing the same thing. See, that's why we're connected.
Yes.
All right, so another question for you, because I'm curious about this, because I used to work with a recording artist, and when you hear your music on the radio as an artist, I know how they feel. So how do you feel like if you walk into a random place and you see your artwork?
Oh, it's the highest of compliments.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
Like, tell us the exact feeling, like what goes through your body, what's going on in your mind? Like, tell me exactly how
it's
you feel.
Joy. Joy, validation in a way. I'm doing the right thing by being me.
Right.
You know? And so, but just immense joy and gratitude. Absolute gratitude, because, and that's why I said a compliment, because especially because it's abstracted art. I mean, there are no images in it. It's about how do you feel when you connect it. What made someone say, I need that. I'm going to spend my money that I know people work so hard for on this piece of artwork. And so that is why, to have gratitude for that and to say it's a compliment, because it's so subjective.
Right.
And I'm putting it out there as an authentic piece. And they're all one of a kind. So, you know, when it goes, it goes. There's nothing going to be.
Until you see it, you'll want to buy it too. I'm telling you, it's great artwork.
Well,
so, yes, I love it.
So, yeah, that's what I feel.
Okay, let's see. I think we hit most of these questions. All right. What's your favorite or most memorable piece?
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna definitely, if I can get it on film, I'll try to get that on film.
Okay.
As well.
Oh, my most memorable piece. Oh, I do love that one. That's and that's sold. And actually, thank you. It's sold to a friend, so I can go visit it.
Okay.
There were a couple others. One was called Transected. That's also sold, but it was 2-foot by 4-foot piece, and it was just, it looked like a contemporary version of a cut tree in the center, and it was just massive, and it was different. It wasn't natural colors. It was purple and black and silver and shimmer, and that one just was very well received, and I'm super grateful for it. So, and I think the first time that I said, I'm going to cut up a painting, and did this dissected series where I had it in my head for many, many, many months, and I was in an artist residency, and somebody just said, why are you so tied to the whole thing? And to me, them saying that to me, and then me having that idea anyway, I was like, I'm going to cut this thing up. And it was so amazing. And so there are a few pieces, those first few, which also I'm grateful they've sold, but that series started.
That little story almost makes me think of, because I'm just learning this in my life. Sometimes you create stuff and you kind of let it go, or you can create stuff and then jack it all up, and then it can still be a masterpiece, or, you know, and sometimes that's how life works, you know. Sometimes you start, you finish, you mess up, you know, and when you think you messed up, you might perceive it as something where you make a mistake, but it's not really a mistake, because you took that artwork and you chopped it up and put it back together.
Right.
That's how life works.
That is. And those first pieces, even though I just did it and I cut them up, I actually didn't finish them for 3 months.
So it's like you take this piece here, you take this piece here, and you put it back together. But you never take these pieces and throw them away, right?
They're very.
You'll see a new video about that. Watch. I'm thinking. I love it. You gave me an idea. I love it.
This is why we're together.
Yes.
Collaborate.
All right. We spoke about your workshops, but how often do you do your workshops?
They're not on a regular basis, but I try to offer at least 1 to 2 a month if I can. Right now I'm taking a little bit of time off just to get some other things completed that I have in the works. But yeah, 1 to 2 a month. They're usually on weeknights, 6:30 to 8:30, sometimes on a weekend. But I want to give that opportunity. I know the weeks are busy. It's, you know, we're all like working and hustling hard. But again, that's to reiterate the take a pause. Take a pause. Let's breathe. Let's, you know, do our thing. Yes, relax. And, you know, to again provide something. Hey, you want to go? And I love going out to dinner. Hey, you want to go to the bar? Go out to dinner? Wait, let's go to Susie's class. You know, and that's generally how it works. And so I'm right now I'm teaching mostly at the Maton Inn in Cary.
Yeah, that's where we met.
That's where we met.
That's a cool spot. I like that spot. It's really cool.
I love it. And then I'm teaching in Raleigh in a partnership with Craft Habit Raleigh. And they're located right near the food bank. So right now, and then I'm expanding to a couple other places in Raleigh, which I can't announce yet.
Awesome. I love it.
Soon, I'll announce soon. But that's going to be a larger picture. So.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I know you are a school teacher, right?
Yes.
You mentioned that. So any special kids that you want to give a shout out that you're working with, or young artists, or anything like that?
Oh my goodness! If I said any of their specific names and left anybody out, you don't have to be in my classroom. I do. But
I give them all the shout out. We love you all.
I do. I actually think that they really know how much I care about them. I will tell them how much I care about them, that they matter, that I see you, I recognize your talent, and I'm going to help you get there. And, you know, I do. They're so special to me. And so many people, and we work with teenagers, and people ask you, like, why are you going to work with teenagers? And it's like, because they're the most special creatures ever.
Right.
And, you know, maybe we're made differently.
I think because too, they're still authentic too. And like for me, I struggle with people that put on the facade, because I like being me. I like being true to myself. And I think kids sometimes they can be harsh, and some people can't handle it. And maybe we can handle that. Maybe we're the unique beings that can handle that, but somebody has to do it, right?
And just show them kindness. You know, when you really show people in general, that's a whole other episode too. Right. The kindness, and you know, I actually had to learn that over my teaching career. I was 22. I'm 5'1" and 22. Can you imagine me in a high school classroom?
She's tiny.
You know? Tiny. So I think that was learned over time, but I did learn the more kindness I show them, and that again, I see you, I hear you. What are you going through? Right. You know, and that's not in I gotta be your best friend.
Right.
That's not how teaching goes, but
Right.
it's I'm going to know you as best as I can,
Right.
and I'm capable of as one person.
Right.
And then to say, okay, here are the skills and talents you have, and
Mhm.
the ones we need to work on, we need to work on.
Right.
The ones that are okay, we'll build on that.
Mhm.
But I know you do the same. You're doing
Yeah.
the same thing
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
and so you understand that.
Yeah.
Stephen.
Yeah. Definitely understand.
That's my shout out to them. I love them all.
Well, this was our special edition with Susie Silver.
Thank you.
Right. All right. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm so happy
All
you're
right.
here.
Jim out.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, I think that was really cool. Edit and move and film.
Step out though. So then this series, here we go. So then I have what's called the dissected series.
Okay.
So it's these paintings that start as one painting, like this, or even like what I started here.
Mm-hmm.
When I want to go do something to it, and the idea is
So this is not
alter it.
just the wood.
Nope, that's on this paper, so it starts just like this. But you're
Wow.
more than welcome to feel. It's a smooth paper.
Wow.
And then I cut it. So I'll cut it and superimpose it on itself, and then I hand paint these little strips like here, and then I'll collage it. This one is a test one. I can't use it because of the splotches on it.
Mm-hmm.
But so then I'll have these two pieces, kind of like this. This is a baby one. And then I'll collage, meaning glue down all different pieces of paper. So it's be 1, 2, 3 pieces, but it started as one painting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's called the dissected series.
Okay.
And then, so it's really stripes and dissected is what most people see. This type of style, and then what you saw in the living room, they're big with the white. Those are much more bold and aggressive.
Uh-huh.
So we were just talking about energy.
Yeah.
So with all of what's like in